Welcome to the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Jim.
Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Great to be here.
What are we doing this week, Andy?
The Last Starfighter, 1984.
yeah.
Classic.
Last Starfighter.
This was Jim's choice.
Jim chose this. That's correct.
I saw your list. I'm like, Last Starfighter. I got to be in on that.
Dana, what did you say to us after you saw the trailer? You
I
texted
don't
us,
remember.
believe?
I think something along the lines of
I can
this
pull up
looks
the text
horrible.
if you want me to pull it up.
What does it say?
It's like, this is hot garbage.
She just said she didn't. You were gonna have a lot to say. I think something like
yeah,
that.
I said for The Last Starfighter, I feel like I'm going to have a lot to say about this. But do I? I don't know.
Rated PG, running time of 1 hour and 40 minutes. Theatrical release date of July 13th, 1984. Directed by Nick Castle.
Nick Castle.
Yeah, his top four
I don't know anything
had
else he's done.
No, I don't know. Is he someone
It had things that we heard. Yeah,
okay.
The top four had three things. He was a writer, and the fourth thing he was an actor.
Oh.
The thing he was an actor in Halloween Kills. He played the Shape. So that was
In the most recent, like the new Halloween movies?
Kills.
Wow.
Yeah, he plays
Okay.
the Michael Myers, the Shape.
Interesting.
And the writing, he got Last Starfighter. He directed that, so that was in there. And then The Boy Who Could Fly.
Oh, I love that movie.
Who's that? I don't know that
Oh my,
one.
nobody.
I like that movie
Sounds like
as
a
well.
Disney
loved
movie.
it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah,
It's not a Disney. I don't.
it might have been a lot, but I'm not sure
It
if it is or
wasn't.
not.
Yeah, it's a PG type.
And the
movie.
other was Escape from New York.
Writer.
He wrote
Skip
that,
from
yeah.
here. Excellent.
Interesting.
That's his high point.
Yeah, the IMDb description: high schooler Alex Rogan conquers the Starfighter video game only to find out it was just a test and is transported to another planet. He has been recruited to join a team of the best starfighters to defend their world from the attack. Dun, dun, dun. They call this a 1984 American space opera film.
I don't know about that.
The name of the ship, and it was also the name of the movie at one point, Gunstar was the name of the
Did
movie.
they call that the
changed
Gunstar? Like the
I don't know if
new
they said it
ship?
in the movie, but they said that's the name of the ship, Gunstar.
What's the guy's name?
I think that's the style of ship, right? That's not the name of it. Like the Millennium Falcon.
Oh my God.
I think it was a Gunstar ship.
All right, so yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was
Like,
the
that was
name
the
of the movie at
class.
one point too, Gunstar.
Yeah.
I had a few taglines here. It said Alex Rogan was a small town boy with big time dreams, but in his wildest dreams, he never suspected that tonight he would become the Last Starfighter.
That's a long tagline.
This one's long too. For every Earthling who's ever dreamed of adventures beyond the stars, comes the astonishing story of one who made it. And then Alex Rogan dreamed of traveling beyond the stars, but Alex didn't find his dreams found him.
Excellent.
Sure.
First of all, where they lived,
Oh my God, that trailer
that
park?
was like
They're in a trailer
cult.
park.
I know, but it was like a cult.
Yeah, that was weird. I mean,
They all shouldn't have been that close to each other.
not the yada
You know what I mean?
yada, but when he was going for the record and
they all-
everybody's like up on
Oh
top
my
of him, I was
God.
like, what?
The way they climbed the steps
He's
to
gonna
get
break
to
the
that.
record.
too.
Good sir, everybody.
Yeah. When I was a kid and I was like playing Super Mario Brothers or Tetris, and I would like beat Super Mario the first time, that's what I expected to happen in my family, but no one gave a shit.
I remember.
But in my head, I'm like, everyone's gonna think I'm so amazing. But I was 10, not 18 or 20, however old this guy was.
I remember my family was down in Florida, and we were with another family there, and we went out to some restaurant that had video games. And I was playing Super Pac-Man, and I was having the game of my life. And my sister came by, she's like, "Wow, you're doing really good." And then my mom like looked over my shoulder, she's like, "We're eating." I'm like, "Yeah, but like I'm having a game of my life." And then like a minute later, my dad's like smacking the back of the head. He's like, "We're eating." I'm
Unplugs the machine.
I'm like, damn, like no one cares how
No.
good I'm doing. I remember thinking in Last Starfighter, everybody got all excited about it.
and you really thought like you're like, oh, if the right person saw me beating this game right now, I'd be
I could be
like,
something.
I could be something. I'm going to be the president of the universe. Like everyone's going to love me. But again, I was 10, not.
But let's be fair. Alex wasn't thinking like that. He didn't. He wasn't
He didn't
expecting
know.
that.
He
Right.
kind of was. When he was playing and his family came around, he was like, that was the highlight of his life.
He had to have been expecting.
But-
It was the only game they had.
I know, but he wasn't expecting because he didn't even want to do it when he got up there. He was like, "I'm out of here. I'm not doing this."
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
he was a coward.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing he left because he would have been killed.
Yeah.
True.
Maybe
That's
not
true.
that, but he definitely was like, when his family got there, his face, The look in his face when he was like, almost there.
He liked having that.
He was in the zone, and having everyone around him was like,
And he
that's
gets a
what he
kiss from
needed.
this girl in front of everybody.
Maggie,
Oh my god,
yeah.
it's like
And
crazy.
the janitors like gathering everybody.
Otis?
Otis?
I think he was the proprietor
And then
of the
even like
restaurant.
the
Yeah, he
grandma,
was the,
the grandma
yeah.
who's like 90 years old is like, oh, he's going to defeat the
Yeah.
fleet. Like, how do you even know what they're called? Is she up there playing it on
Yeah,
her
I'm
break?
I'm surprised everybody had like
An
they were all
idea.
into that
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Well, it's the only
The
entertainment
fact that
they
he was
had
sitting
there.
back smoking, watching from like afar, he was like over in the corner watching, you know. Let
By
me
the
know.
way, that
Wow,
trailer
you're gonna
park-
break the record.
Yes. The fact that they all knew what the record was.
right? What,
Yeah.
what was the previous
The record
record?
seemed like it was only going to be. He was about to hit 1 million. That seemed like that was the record.
900,000 or
Yeah.
something like that, right? But that trailer park, first of all, do you need to advertise with the big gigantic neon light starry night star? I'm like, everybody lives there. They don't need to
Starlight,
advertise,
Star
right?
Bright,
Like, it's
yeah.
not a hotel. You don't need to advertise for that. But I felt that was on the other side of the mountain from like the cool E.T. Poltergeist neighborhood. Like,
Yes.
that's on the other
Yes.
side of that.
That's like
It
the
is.
bottom of the
Yes,
hill.
this is on the other side of that. Because as soon as they showed it, I'm like, all right, I already know I'm in California.
made fun of those kids,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're all going to the same school, and you're like, this kid, yeah. You're from that trailer park?
The one where they all take care of each other, electric.
Yeah. Poor kid.
Why
Why
was
is
he
it
like
his
the-
responsibility?
She's gonna
He
miss
was the
her
maintenance
soap.
guy
She's
for
gonna
the
miss her
Where was the
party.
guy up at the clubhouse?
Otis?
What was Otis's job?
Otis ran
He
the
ran the
restaurant.
But Otis
That was
was
his
the one
restaurant.
on top of the. He was doing the antenna when fake.
First of all,
fake Alex.
if you see somebody doing that, you're gonna go up to them and hit them and make them drop that. Like Maggie was in the wrong for that.
Yeah.
Maggie was definitely in the wrong for that.
Maggie. Maggie was cute.
Playing
She was.
playing Alex Rogan and also playing Beta Alex
Oh, yes, he
Beta
was
Alex,
playing that.
yes.
was Lance Guest.
And did they put a wig on him in the second one because he looked like he didn't have the same?
I
hair
have a
as some
reason
folks?
why
The
because
second one?
This said the beta
the
version.
Beta
like,
version.
beta shots were done later in the shoot.
Did he cut his hair
He
or
had-
something like
and he had cut his hair, so he was wearing a
Oh,
wig
okay.
for the beta shoot.
There were times
That's a
where
good
his,
catch. I never
his hair
noticed
looked
that.
so different. I was like, why does
Yeah,
he look
because it always
like
makes
that
his
now?
face
I just
look
assumed
different.
it was because he was a robot.
He had
you know?
Yeah.
he hadn't
He was a
grown
human
all the way
They
yet.
showed him laying there breathing like.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was actually like
I thought I was watching that show
it's actually kinda
Chernobyl.
scary.
I thought I was watching Chernobyl.
that looked like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like when
Yeah.
they were changing. But it was weird because when he was in the DeLorean there,
It was
He
based
was-
on a DeLorean too. That
oh,
vehicle.
with the,
Yeah.
the gull wings and stuff
Gull,
like
yeah.
that. But he was like almost fully formed when he shook his hand, and I guess he got his DNA
No, I don't
from
think you
that.
saw him.
You saw
just
like
saw it was a shadow.
profile,
It was just a
and-
shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
But-
really see him.
But he wasn't like a jelly beast.
No, he definitely wasn't
know
a jelly
why.
beast.
No, I guess he had to
Should've been, though,
transform,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
I just think if you're not going to transform for like 8 to 12 hours, maybe don't go into the kid's bed. Like
I
do it
think the
somewhere in
technology
hide.
could have
Yeah.
been better. He should have been fully transformed right after he shook his hand.
Yeah.
You know?
You want to try Lance's top 4?
I know he was in
Last Starfighter is in his top 4.
Halloween 2,
That is correct. 1981 Halloween 2.
Oh.
He's in that.
and he was in Jaws 4.
The Revenge. That is
Revenge?
correct.
Okay, then that's it. That's all I know.
And Favorite Son.
I
was
thought
the
he
other
played
one.
young Clark Kent in Superman.
Yeah, we
but-
looked that up. Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
him.
He
But
did.
it
But he
does
looks
him.
like
We
him.
looked
As soon
him
as you
up,
say
yeah.
that, I think
the
that
kid
I'm
looks
like,
a lot
he
like
looks
him.
like him.
though,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember when he was in Jaws 4. I was like, oh, it's The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
When's that sequel coming out? Because I'm really excited for a sequel to The Last Starfighter. I was not excited to be sitting in Jaws 4.
They were hoping to make sequels to
They,
this. It just never
set it
happened.
up at the end
Yeah.
to do it.
Playing Centauri was Robert Preston.
Love him.
He died in 1987, 68, lung cancer.
Yeah, shame.
I remember him from Victor Victoria. I remember seeing that in the
That's in his
theater.
top
Yeah,
four.
the Music Man.
The Music Man is in his top 4 as
Totally
well.
forgot
Yep.
about that. Yeah.
So I
That's
had
all I know.
texted you guys
And Last
because
Starfighter.
Starfighter made
Yeah.
it in SOB, whatever that
Oh,
is.
Julie
right.
Andrews
Yeah.
and Blake Edwards directed
Yes.
that.
Oh.
Okay, I forgot about that.
his voice, it's still bothering me now. Like, I know that voice from something, so I scoured through his IMDb to see.
Did you find it?
No. But then it kind of hit me. I guess he kind of sounds like my Last Martian guy. My favorite Martian.
Ray Walston.
Ray Walston.
Yeah. I think they have the same voice. And because
Maybe.
as soon as I hit that, like, I kept picturing, I know this voice so well. And it was really bothering me. I didn't know if he was a cartoon, but I couldn't find anything.
Mr. Hand?
Mr. Hand, yeah. It's
Mr. Hand.
in Fast Times.
That's
Ray
who, that's who
Walston.
Ray
Oh,
Walston
right.
is.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's so funny because I remember like seeing Victor Victoria in the theater and then seeing this in the theater. Like he was like one of those guys that I'm like, oh, I like this guy. He's in all the things I like.
He was just in everything.
Like,
Yeah,
like shit. I guess
know.
not. Don't like that guy. I thought he died of AIDS actually, but
Nope, lung cancer.
I guess it's
yeah.
better that he died of lung cancer. I don't know. What's a less painful
Is
death?
there a better?
No,
I guess lung cancer
probably-
sounds like it would be more painful, right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I haven't died of either yet, so I don't know. I'll probably die of one or the other. We'll find out soon.
Playing Enduron was K.E. Cuter. Enduron was the older guy with the bald head.
Like the Emperor guy.
The one-
he was
good
like the
guy?
the one that was...
He was like the Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, he was recruiting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who played Grig?
He was
Greg?
in Deep Space Nine.
Star Trek. Okay.
Yeah. And he also was in the VTV series. He played Richards.
Damn, now I have to go back and look at who this was.
He played Richards.
There was a V
in
person. I didn't pick it up.
I put that on there
Should.
specifically for you.
I have to go back and look for him.
I thought you might have got it. I don't know
did
how
not.
big that
I did
character
not
is.
get that.
Do you know Richards when I say that from V? Does that sound like a character you
I
know?
think I know who you're talking about, but I might
Yeah.
not. That sucks.
Yeah, I don't.
Lord Krill was played by Dan Mason. He was the one who wanted the scepter.
Oh,
He's
that guy.
He gets the
Okay.
scepter, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know him at all. I
He
don't
was
think I know
also
him.
in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, like a one-off kind of guy, probably.
Yeah.
Just a one-episode thing, yeah.
American Masters, Cries of the Unborn. I don't know any of those.
I don't know them.
No.
Playing Grig was Dan O'Herlihy.
Okay.
For the longest time, I thought Louis Gossett Jr. was Grig.
Because you're thinking
you're
of
racist.
Enemy Mine.
Yeah,
Because he
probably.
looked like that. He looked exactly like that in Enemy
Tara
Mine.
brought up Enemy Mine last night.
Because Lou Gossett Jr. looks like that in Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett
I don't know.
Jr.
It's all subconscious.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just-
yeah,
I wonder why she brought that
put
up
him in that
last
movie.
night.
This isn't
Google
our,
what Lou Gossett looks like in that movie. He
Yeah.
looks exactly like Greg.
Interesting.
Same kind of thing.
This isn't
I
our
love
What's it
Lou
called?
Gossett.
Enemy Mine?
Enemy Mine.
this isn't our first Dan O'Herlihy movie.
Yeah, well, I know
either.
it's not. I know he's in Halloween 3.
Season of the Witch. Yep.
When I saw him, I was like, I know this guy from something else.
And also RoboCop,
and
2.
Yes, he's old man in RoboCop.
Yep.
Yep.
And in playing Maggie Gordon, Jim said she was cute. Catherine Mary Stewart,
Yeah,
I know
she was cute.
She's very
She was
cute.
definitely in something else I saw.
Night of the Comet.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I don't
And she's
remember
also
from
in
that.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, okay. That's what I
Oh.
probably know her from more than Night of the Comet. Yeah.
We do
Weekend
Night
at
of the
Bernie's.
Comet this year, I think.
Is that this year?
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know what that one is.
But I saw Weekend at Bernie's like a lot back in the old days, so I probably know
That's
her
one of
more
those
from that.
movies she'll like, though, right? It's a disaster movie, kind of, right? Night of the Comet.
Oh, I was gonna say Weekend at Bernie's. It's
Oh,
kind
I'm
of a
like,
disaster.
Night of the Comet.
I didn't like
yeah.
that movie either.
You didn't like Weekend at Bernie's?
No, it's stupid.
Jesus
I didn't
Come
like
on.
Weekend at Bernie's
She,
as
she
well.
looks pretty good now.
Oh, I
Oh
thought you were-
yeah, she does look really good.
I did not expect Lou Gossett Jr. to look like that.
I'm past Lou Gossett Jr. I'm on Maggie
We wanted
now.
to see Lou Gossett, too.
She's
Come on, you didn't show us.
65. 65 years old. She looks really good.
Yeah, she does look
Man,
really
I can't
good.
even drive 65, and there she is looking like that. Good for her.
That's a bad
Oh,
one.
God.
It's not even the right.
It was 55.
Speed
so-
No,
No one drives 55 anymore.
no.
Jane Rogan, that was his mom, Barbara Basson.
Oh, she was miserable. Such a sad, depressed.
She
woman.
reminded me of the mom from Goonies.
A little bit, yeah. Yep.
She was in 103 of the 144 episodes of Hill Street Blues.
No.
Wow.
She was in all 11 episodes of Cop Rock.
Oh, I remember Cop Rock.
Here's Lou Gossett Jr. in Enemy Mine.
Looks just like him.
Wow.
That's Greg.
But like, now why
That's
you
great,
say
yeah.
that? Why do you be confused by that? You know,
Yeah.
Tanner
Okay,
or
that
whoever.
must. You know what? I think she mentioned it when that
What
guy
year
came
is
on
that,
the screen.
roughly? Do we know?
It's in the 80s, right?
Playing
85.
playing Zur was Norman Snow. He's in 25 episodes of General Hospital from 1990 to 1991.
I was absolutely watching it then, but
You know him.
I couldn't.
Zur was like the main bad guy, like the
Yeah.
son that was.
He was like the traitor, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
he was
He was
part
the
of
one that
that.
everybody
Yeah.
was against,
His
right?
dad was the
Yeah.
emperor, and he was the on
Someone.
the other side.
Yeah.
They did a Star Wars flip.
Yes.
The son's the bad guy, and
Playing Louis Rogan, that was Alex's little brother, was Chris Hebert.
yeah, fuck that kid. Man.
He was in
Little
one
kids are
episode-
So annoying,
Go to bed,
man.
Louis.
One episode of the 1985 Twilight Zone,
Okay.
and one episode of Murder, She Wrote, and then Otherworld. I don't know what that is.
I wonder if he stopped acting around
I don't
that
think he was in
time.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
George McDaniel, he played a Codan officer. I put him in here because he was the Southern Rock promoter in This Is Spinal Tap.
Get the hell out
Oh,
of here!
I don't remember.
And he's also Jesse Spano's dad.
Oh,
on
really?
Saved by the Bell.
Oh my god.
And I'm sorry I didn't get that for when we did Spinal Tap, because I did not get that.
You wouldn't have known at that point that Last Starfighter would have been important.
Yeah.
And let's see. I think I got a couple more for the cast here.
I have great for RoboCop. I have 2 other cast members.
Yeah, I got Robert Starr playing one of the underlings. He was the religious zealot number 5 in Airplane. Remember all those Krishnas?
One of the Hare Krishnas?
He was one of the Hare Krishnas, yes. He was in the Kentucky Fried Movie also.
Okay, so he was one
did
of their
2
guys.
episodes of Chips. I had to make a note of that. Another person from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was Al Berry. He played a Ryland spy. He was also in Reanimator.
Okay.
I have Scott Dunlop as a tentacle alien. Apparently he's Real Housewives of Orange County. He's a writer. He did 177 of 313 episodes.
I wonder if he was the one that like Alex stepped on when he was
Real
trying to get
Housewives.
through
Yeah, I
the
was
seat,
just
the
wondering if
tentacle
that's
thing.
who he stepped on. Yeah.
Real Housewives of Miami, 41 of 95 episodes. So this person only had 4 acting credits, but a lot of writing credits. Otis was played by Vernon Washington.
He's been
Okay.
in stuff.
He
right?
died in 1988, 64, undisclosed.
Damn.
But yeah, he
Who
was
was
in
Otis again?
The
Otis?
black
He was
guy, the maintenance
Okay,
guy.
the maintenance man. Okay.
Oh, he
no,
owned
he
a
owned the
restaurant.
restaurant.
Was
That was
it
his
a restaurant?
That was his
Yeah.
restaurant.
That thing up at the top was a restaurant?
Yeah.
I thought it
Oh,
was
I
like.
thought it was
It's where
his
the
house.
Starfighter game was. That was in
Yeah,
front of the
but I
restaurant.
thought it was kinda
It was
like-
like a little, like a diner.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It was like a
thought it
little.
was his house.
I didn't
thought-
catch on that it was a diner.
I caught
Did not
that.
either.
No, I think
Definitely
there
a
was
restaurant.
there were tables outside. I
Yeah,
think.
there were
Yeah.
picnic tables out there.
I
yeah.
thought it was like
Yeah.
a concession stand.
Which is also
type of
very
thing.
weird that there's a
That's why I
restaurant.
was like, why is there a concession stand there? It doesn't make any sense.
Right? Why is there a restaurant in the middle of a trailer
Yeah.
park that only serves the
30,
trailer park?
30 people at the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
That's probably.
He was in. He played George in Friday the 13th: A New Beginning.
Oh, okay. I
Isn't
wonder
that
if
your
he's,
favorite one?
That's
Fifth one?
the worst one, but I wonder if he's Dudley's dad or something like that. Because
I
Dudley's
think
in
he
that
might be
one.
Dudley's dad. Yeah, but I also had him in
From Different
Tales
Strokes?
from the Dark
Yeah,
Side.
Dudley was in part 5.
Yeah.
He did Tales from the Dark Side, and I have him in. He played Leroy 7 episodes of The Jeffersons.
Oh, okay.
He had some speaking parts, but it was dropped, so you could only see him in a couple scenes. But Will Wheaton plays
What?
Lewis's friend. Yes,
I remember you saying
He's
last
wearing
week
he wears a
he
red
was in
shirt
it.
when they're all the kids are
They're all
running.
playing
He's one of
football
the
at the
young
very
kids.
beginning.
Yeah.
He's wearing the
Not
red.
a
Will
non-speaking
Wheaton,
role.
yeah.
He's wearing a red
He
jersey.
had speaking roles, but that got cut.
Yeah.
So he was just seen in some
Interesting.
scenes.
I didn't
You
even see
can't
him.
even tell that it's him. If you don't know
Yeah.
it's him, you would know it's him.
The last person I have is Suzanne Snyder. She's a cheerleader, and I got her because she's Debbie, the blonde from Weird Science.
Oh, that's so funny you should say
and
that.
she's also in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Return of the Living Dead 2, and Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
When you gave the slow roll of the cheerleader, I thought you were going to say like Debbie Does Dallas or something like
Right.
that. But it's funny you should say Weird Science because I have 2 people in this that I saw. When they come back at the very end of the movie and they're introducing everybody to Grig and the spaceship, and one of the granny with the shotgun, one of the other women reaches across her and it's like, "What's going on?" Or she says something to her. That woman was in 9 to 5. She was
Yeah.
like the
I
drunk
thought that was
secretary.
the
in
Oh,
9
the
to 5.
secretary who didn't like the 3 ladies
Yep.
trying to.
But they she got
yeah.
fired and they got her job back later
Yeah.
on. She kind of cleaned herself up. So that was
Oh,
that.
right. Yes.
And then at one point at that end movie, one of the other tenants or whatever is across Otis and asks him a question. I'm like, that's Gary's dad from Weird Science. When you said Weird Science, I thought you were like, who the hell
Gary's
is
dad?
Who the hell is this Gary character? That was his dad. I was like, it's the Weird Science dad.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
so weird.
funny.
Yeah.
Listen, Al, I'll kick your ass. Like, that's Al.
That's it. That's all I have for the cast. So last week we did 25 minutes for the cast.
Well, that
we're,
cast
we're
was
close.
extensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this
did say
cast
that
not so much.
But
Yeah,
that's
really.
good. I said to Jason,
Yeah, he didn't think we were gonna
the
get
other
that
week,
far.
I'm like, I don't envy you for having to go through this cast,
Yeah.
but that was a lot.
Yeah, nice job, Jake.
Thank you. I do a lot of hard work
Like,
for this
it-
podcast.
You do.
Yes,
I'm sure.
I just show up.
At the
I don't
beginning
do
of this movie, they
anything.
show what I thought was Earth, and then they zoom out.
Instagram me or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They zoom out and they hit the moon, and they keep zooming, and then I guess they were on whatever Rigel. Was that the planet they were trying to see?
Rylos.
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 Yes, Rylos.
But it looks so fake. I mean, like it
Oh,
just
it's
looked like
extremely fake.
someone
but
drew
the stars they did was so fake when you saw them. Like,
Yeah.
And did
The
you-
worst was all those green
mean, they're in
pods that were
California, too.
lined up.
Oh, the
Whatever those
Frontier?
green pods were,
The
and they were
Frontier.
just That looked terrible. I almost was looking for the strings. Like, can I see the
I don't
strings?
understand
I think
it.
Guardians of the Galaxy stole from that, right?
Yeah. I think Star Trek did
Yeah.
what didn't they have a thing they had to get through, or maybe it was a Galaxy Quest that had to get through I never understand when there's a net in space that you can't go by. Like, space is infinite. You
Yeah,
can
just
like
go
fly
around it.
above it or something like
Exactly.
that. But the credits in this, did anybody get Superman vibes? Like, they were doing that, they'd show the name and it would
And then-
zoom into the back.
Oh.
Every time they did it, I'm like, didn't Superman do these exact same things?
Probably-
They're using
Probably
Superman
took a little bit
fonts.
from that.
Yeah.
I would see that.
Well,
yeah.
this movie took a lot from a lot of things.
Yeah, and speaking of the DeLorean, I know Back to the Future was after,
Yeah.
but was there any
But a DeLorean existed at this time.
DeLorean was
so-
around.
Yeah, but two movies made modeled after DeLorean made a
DeLoreans
time.
were big.
That
back
was-
then.
car made that
Yeah,
kind
like
of
a flying
impression.
thing. Yeah.
There's a documentary on DeLorean. You should watch it. It's
Oh,
really?
really?
Good. Yeah.
That's why the 80s were so cool. Like, name a car right now that would make an impression on
Yeah, I
someone.
know.
Like, maybe a Tesla, something like
Yeah.
that. But really,
cars
I mean,
now are not. They suck.
I'm waiting to see a cyber truck on the road. I haven't seen one.
I haven't
Just
seen one
like
in real
that.
life.
Just so I
no.
can run into it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw a baseball at it.
Yeah.
Crack the window.
I was actually disappointed when Robert Preston explained, like I said, I love the idea of the video game used for recruiting, but why would you drop it at some trailer park in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere? But then he's like,
But he
he
said
said
it
it
was
was
an
supposed to be in
accident.
Vegas.
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
like, so I already had written it down. I'm like, why wouldn't you put it in LA or something like that? But then he said it was
Yeah.
supposed to go to
I don't
Vegas.
think I caught that the first time.
I didn't.
I
I
this
haven't
movie
seen-
back in the 80s.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater and I haven't seen it since then. So
Right.
a lot of this was like, maybe I thought I was smarter than I was,
Right.
but I remember them saying it later in the movie. But if you're recruiting, wouldn't you put like a video
Yeah.
game everywhere?
Because really,
Yeah.
only that kid played it.
Speaking
You're
of
right.
speaking of how you said that they borrowed from everything, Nick Castle bemoans his attempts to do something different than Spielberg and Lucas. He said, "You basically back into George Lucas and Spielberg at every corner. You see all those moments come up, and you realiage, boy, George really knew what he was doing."
But-
like it's like once they did it, you
Wait,
know,
what was Boy
Boy,
George doing?
George knew what he was doing.
boy, George.
Carmen Chameleon is awesome. Let me tell you, that album's great.
I did have it correct though. You realize, comma, boy, comma, George.
But you know, George Lucas has gone on record as being very open about how he stole from Flash Gordon and Carousel,
Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts, and the Man with No Name, all that stuff. So it's funny how this guy
Yep.
can't when George Lucas wanted to rip off all those things 20, 30 years after they came out, and there was no video tapes back then. No one had seen that stuff. He was able to rip them off. This guy wants to rip off Star Wars 8 years after Star Wars, and it's like, yeah, but everybody's seen that a million times.
Yep.
Owns a copy of it now. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't rip it
Yeah.
off now.
This movie was shot in 40 days. So
Yeah, that
shows
makes sense.
pretty quick. Yeah.
It shows.
No, even just watching it, a couple of weeks ago, it just brought me back, to the 80s.
I
And I
agree.
loved it
Yeah.
when I saw it. As a 13, 14-year-old kid in the 80s, arcades were, that's
I was
that's
huge.
what
That
it
was one of the arcade all the
I think
time.
And that was
yeah.
a dream, to play this game and
be,
go out to space.
And someone sees you, and
Yeah.
just like, wow, Jim, you're amazing. You're
Exactly,
12 years
yeah.
old, but there's never been anybody better. Please come fight our wars.
I will
for
save
us.
the universe,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
According to Twitter in April 2018, a reboot was in the works, but there's a screenplay was submitted, but they want to make a reboot for many years, but nothing.
Now,
nothing
Lance
That was
Guest,
2018?
yeah.
Lance Guest is still alive and Maggie's still alive, right?
Yeah.
They should just make a sequel now. Like,
Sure.
and it's like they
Well, they're kid.
or they're training the new generation
Yeah.
of
And their kid's
starfighters.
not good at the game.
Yeah.
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 You know,
We should
your
write-
father.
we should write the screenplay.
Your father was a last star. Your father was a
If you want to sit
starfighter.
down and do this, I'm definitely in.
We can fucking write this thing.
Do we sell a screenplay? What
We're
movie?
writing
I'm moving to LA.
We're writing another sequel to a movie.
We talked about it last week. We did talk about doing something
Yes,
last
we
week.
did, right?
Yeah, we were going to write
I just
something.
don't remember what movie that was.
Gotta listen to
Was
this.
it Dune? No.
I don't know.
Those sequels have been written.
Yeah. I'm sure it was something very stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're
Robin
almost
Williams
stupid.
was offered the role of the evil Zur, but he passed.
Oh, he
Was he
That was a
like
career suicide in passing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was poor taste.
It was Midnight Madness that we were talking about. I wanted to do the
Oh,
TV show where all the
yes.
characters.
Yeah.
We did an episode
We can
of
do
each
that.
character.
We could
now.
definitely do that. I love
Trademark
that
it.
movie. Did you ever see Midnight Madness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just did that one recently. I know it's not 84, but we took a little trip to 1980.
We did it when we did Blood Simple because
So
we knew
Midnight
we wouldn't
Madness,
be able
that was
talk
like
about
It's a was it not
Scavenger
small
hunt.
world, small. What world? Crazy World? What was that base? What was that like modeled after?
Like Man
Man,
World,
it's a
like
Man,
that
Man,
thing,
World.
I'm
yes,
thinking
like
it's a
that.
small.
Yeah, scavenger hunt, basically. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
movie. It's a mad
Yeah, but
world.
I loved Midnight Madness too.
But we want to write the
Who
TV
was
show for that.
David
wasn't the nerd in that from like
Eddie Deason.
Grace.
Greece,
Yeah.
Eugene.
Eugene?
Yeah.
You should listen to our podcast on. You've got
Yeah.
all these answers
Yeah.
already.
You would have already known
I'm
this.
listening to the podcast.
Clearly,
but-
you didn't listen to
But
it,
my,
Jim.
I met David
Alexa
Naughton. He
is
signed
just
my-
going in some kind of order, and I don't know. what
David
it's doing.
Naughton signed my Midnight Madness poster.
Nice.
Yeah. I gotta get Eddie Deason to sign that.
Wasn't Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin in that?
No,
They were
No.
not.
no.
No.
No,
that was
No,
Midnight
you're
Run.
good.
Michael
but now you're
Fox
off.
is.
Yeah,
Mike
you know
Fox,
Michael Fox.
Michael Fox.
Yeah.
His first role.
It was his first main movie. Yeah, he'd been in a couple things, but
One of the things that stuck with me through, like, as I was watching this movie, and I was like, I know one of these scenes it's going to happen because I still think of it to this day. But when they went flying by the cop at 303 miles an hour, there are many times when I'm driving on the turnpike and I'm like, I hope there's a cop like behind the speed trap right now, and he looks at his thing and he's just like,
303.
fuck, it's not even worth going after this guy. He's going so fast. I think about that a lot. That one
How did he
scene.
go like
this,
stay
too.
control?
It was 303 miles.
Right. And he's not even looking. He's like
Yeah.
looking back.
Even with alien technology, can that car hold onto the
Yeah, right.
Pacific Coast Highway like that, all
Yeah.
that winding around?
Crazy.
I don't think so. The quote of the episode or the movie was diarrhea when they
Yes.
were making out and Lewis,
Yeah.
Lewis' sister, right? Yeah,
That was funny
the
when he
brother.
said, he's like, you're dreaming, now go back to sleep.
That was, and then he knows he's peeking. and
Yeah, he's like Lewis.
yeah, the beta and Alex, yeah.
You didn't like that part, Dana? When he had his head
I
on?
did think it was funny when he said diarrhea. I did laugh at that.
Oh, diarrhea gets
Yeah,
a laugh
that was
every
funny.
time.
Yeah.
Of course.
They put that in like Schindler's List, and
I
people
also-
are guffawing.
Shut
Oh no, is that wrong?
I also thought it was one other thing I thought was funny is when Beta Alex was at the campfire with his girlfriend and he's eavesdropping on what they're saying over there and just repeating the lines. That was it. That was it. That was the only other
Because
part.
he's like
Oh,
he's
none of the other
apologizing.
girls.
He's like,
he said,
none of the other girls said anything. And I knew,
Now
yeah.
can I put my
So
in
that
your
was
ear?
the second time I laughed.
That was funny.
Yeah, now can I put, what did he say? What
His
was
tongue
it?
in
Put
the
my
ear.
tongue in your ear.
Or do you want to put your tongue in my ear? Something
That's
like
it,
that,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I wrote, I don't know what part of this movie it happens in, but I wrote, when someone says there's nothing to be afraid of, you got to be
You gotta be
afraid of
scared.
whatever's
Oh,
going to
yeah,
happen
of
next.
course.
I think it was when Robert Preston dropped him back off and he's like, there's nothing to be afraid of. And, all of a sudden there was a very terrible alien from the Star Wars cantina running around with a gun. And why? Okay, so this guy is a alien with a ray gun, and why did he just sit there and wait for Alex to come up rather than go up into the roof of whatever that overhang was, and things were falling off of it to alert him of his presence. But then those same things were falling off him when he was on top of the truck, because Alex hides around the side of the truck, and then all of a sudden things started falling on him again. And Alex is like, oh God, like he knew, like that, I'm like, what's falling off of this guy? Terrible assassin. He deserved to get killed.
Yeah.
But it was so dumb, like the things that were falling on top of him, like brush them off. Man.
It really was dumb. I mean, so they send this assassin after the Last Starfighter, right?
Yes.
But this Last Starfighter didn't want to do it.
Right.
So why did they even have to bother?
Well, I guess they
Yeah.
just had to make sure they had to get rid of the Last Starfighter. Although
I'd get rid of Greg.
that gate,
He's the pilot.
That gate
Yeah.
was still like around all the galaxy. Maybe they're still
Yeah.
recruiting people that
Yeah.
they could get.
Word got out when he
Maybe.
broke the record and it just spread and they're like,
And
nope.
when- so when they got
We got him, guys.
picked it up.
So when Alex got to the space planet and they're showing him around and they're giving him his suit and everybody's doing the victory or death thing, I'm like, so he's the only one recruited from a
Yeah.
allied planet or whatever, because everybody else was victory or death. And
They
he's like
said
sitting there-
Earth wasn't endangered yet,
Yeah,
but they were.
But there's other planets probably that have life
Yeah.
forms on it that they should have been
Does he
recruiting
say
from.
victory or death right at the end? It looked like he was about to say it.
Well,
Well, that's why a lot of people were saying Heil Hitler, because everybody around them was saying it. And they're like, shit, I
Yeah.
better get in step. Or
there was one part that annoyed me. They put a translator on him.
Yep.
That was just a watch, the inside of a digital watch.
Yeah, but they put it on his shirt collar and then said, "Put this uniform on." Didn't he then instantly take his shirt off that had the translator on it to put his uniform on?
And I'm jumping to the end of the movie. How did everybody understand Greg? They weren't wearing a translator.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Correct.
And you have to assume he's not speaking English to him.
That's correct.
Anyway.
Good call.
But they should have put it on his physical body.
Shot it into him, something like that.
We should be making movies.
That's what I'm saying.
Why.
That's
Because we think of these little
I
details.
really do think I could have written a better movie.
We're the exciting
Probably.
new productions.
Yes.
That'll be our name. The
If
exciting
you have
new
an
productions.
idea for a script out there, come to us. We'll clean it up for you.
I'm jumping to the end again. But so Centauri, spoiler alert, but he dies, right?
Well,
But then he doesn't.
You think
Now,
he
when
dies.
he's on his deathbed, what do they say to him? They say, "We've got your money." Right?
Okay, right.
Because he wanted the money.
They want to make him
It was
think
like a
it,
rent,
right?
like,
They're
yeah.
just making him think that.
They make him
right?
think
Yeah.
that, of course. But
Yeah.
now when he comes back, spoiler alert, but he comes back to life.
They better.
He should have been asking about his money.
Yeah.
He's like, where's
Yeah.
my money,
Maybe-
asshole?
yeah.
Like, he's sitting,
Said you had it.
sitting on a
Gave
whole
it to him
pile of my
already.
money.
I guess
Yeah.
would assume that he already got it when he
He
woke
didn't
up.
have any money.
did they explain
They didn't pay
how
him.
he came back to life? Okay.
I think he was in like a
Hibernation or something
It was
self-regeneration.
all
like that.
going to be in the sequel, but we didn't get it.
Yeah, it was a
All that stuff is-
regenerative state that he was in.
Okay.
So why did the video game? So when the alien assassin come in, someone dropped him off there. So he hitched a ride or whatever it was, because that makes no sense. But why?
Gonna hitch a
And
ride.
so he stands.
the assassin?
Yeah.
No, I thought he
Remember he shows
didn't he
up.
kill a cop or something? Like he
But how
took
did
the
he get to
form.
Earth?
One of them took the form of a cop, but the other one just got dropped off in front of the amusement park, the trailer park, and then he started looking at the video game, and it like exposed his face, like it just started going like, and it exposed his face. What's going on with that video game?
Yeah.
It like takes off your outer
Yeah, I don't know.
hidden flesh.
Well, when they first got to that planet,
Rylos.
Rylos, and you see all the people sitting at the computers and looking at screens, but they were like monitoring nothing. There was just like a stripe
Yeah,
on
it
one
was
of the
just-
screens.
And then one
there was
thing
like a
that there was like
dot.
the two dots were coming out.
Yeah,
playing Gallagher.
like
I was
yeah,
thinking the exact same.
there was nothing going on those screen.
I was waiting for Pac-Man. It was just
Yeah.
Yeah, the production quality was not very good.
No.
in this
Some of
movie.
the cheesy is like early CGI.
Oh my God. I mean, this
but,
might be-
like seeing that is
But I
funny
remember
because that's like looking at an old iPhone. You're like, that's old. Oh, that's cool.
At the
Yeah.
time, though,
84
it
was
was
probably
advanced. Like
Yeah.
at the time, I'm like, damn, this.
I
these
wasn't
graphics
that
are
way,
good.
but
Yeah.
77 had Star Wars. You got to
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
I
So
think
this is
Tron
7
had
years
better.
later.
Tron
yeah.
had better like CGI before there was CGI. This looked like cartoons even back then. I remember like every
It
time
did.
they switched to like the outside
Now,
shots, I'm like, ah, man.
Do you
I
remember an
that.
actual Last Starfighter video game?
I don't.
There wasn't.
No, I don't
There
know.
wasn't?
So-
Are you
No.
sure?
Yeah, I read that there wasn't a
Okay.
game.
Oh, there should have been one. Like
There should have been.
They tried to get one made, but they couldn't do it. But yeah.
I
That's
wonder
why
if-
the sequel's never made. They just can't get
Probably.
their shit together.
This could have been a. This could.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney.
could
This
have
would have
been
been
a
a great
franchise.
Disney franchise or
Yeah.
something like that. You could see that.
Does
But-
Disney? Is this Disney?
No,
Is
I'm
it-
saying
oh, oh.
somebody like Disney could have picked it up.
Is it
Well,
someone they
I-
bought recently?
Yeah. Anybody
Well,
from
now-
Disney listening?
Exciting a new productions picked it up.
Yeah.
Let's
We
go.
could probably buy the script.
We could write the script and do it much better.
We'll change it.
Shit,
yeah.
I could download the script right now.
Let's just clean it up.
We could chat GPT the script.
Yeah, you can.
So when Maggie, when
It was
when-
hold on. It was one of the first major feature films to feature a fully CGI scene for effects purposes. Centauri's car taking off and flying into space. That was the first CGI
Yeah.
scene.
I mean, was
That's
that
cool.
different CGI than all the space scenes? It looked really cartoony. Was that like actually
I guess that's just
computer
partial
generated?
CGI.
Maybe.
This
That
is
was the
fully
scene where he was
CGI.
going through a tunnel and was coming to a dead end, right? And then he had to take off.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
there was one scene where he was then landing, and he landed on this runway, and then
it was in the
just
dark.
turned to a cartoon. It was just, and yeah, and he kept going around, and I was like, wow, it was totally animated, the whole
Yeah.
thing. It was really bad.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see some of it.
It's so funny. I have in my notes at the bottom, just in case, translator not on everyone, and is that car a DeLorean? I wanted to make sure that, like, in case no one else brought that up, someone brought that up. But so when the beta unit crashes the pickup truck into the spaceship and kills himself, and Maggie turns and yell, Lily in my microphone, and Maggie turns and says, "I love you, Alex." Does she know where she's turning to? Like, is Alex that? Like, she just turns into space and says it. I remember just thinking that was so stupid and cheesy. I don't know. Some things just bother me.
It was cheesy at the very end too when she said, "Alex, wait, I'm coming."
Oh yeah, he should have left her behind. I'm sure there's better alien girls out there that he could have gotten
Yeah.
with. And they probably live longer.
What happened to Beta Alex at the
He
end?
blew
He
himself
blew
up.
himself up.
Oh,
He sacrificed. He said,
I
"This is
think
for you,
I
Alex," or something, and blew himself up.
I was in
Ready
and
to jump out of the car.
What was the purpose of the orange monocle on the guy that would just like flap in front of his eye every once in a while? The
I
bad
guess he was
guy.
protecting one eye.
That was cool.
Or maybe he needed that to read.
But
like,
it was always
this
out of
one-
like a
You
response.
have some people have like they don't necessarily have the same vision in
I'm
both
trying to justify
eyes.
this thing.
Yeah.
But it was always when he was like angry. He was like, "Now
just
we
close in
die. Now
front
we
of his eye.
die." And he put that
It was better than a monocle.
Well, I guess maybe his
easier than a
maybe the
monocle, yeah.
makeup didn't allow them to put a monocle on it, so they just had the mobile monocle. But every time it flapped in front of his eye, it didn't. It wasn't like he was reading something or it was reacting to someone talking to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that his angry monocle?
I would have liked more of a backstory on those guys.
There was
Maybe they
nothing.
were the good guys.
There was nothing about
Yeah.
them. They're
Maybe
just
Alex,
like they just
he
said
had
the
the wrong
son.
time.
The
He had the
son
wrong
was a
side.
traitor, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
In
And the bad guys.
In the late 80s and early 90s, it was extremely difficult for video shops to obtain copies of this movie, as after Lorimar closed down, the rights issues were in limbo. So if the rights issues are in limbo, we might be able to get this really cheap.
Is Lorimar like
I guess
closed
they,
down? Like there's
they,
nobody
they
right?
closed
Yeah.
down. It said, yeah. We might be able to get this cheap.
Sure we can.
I should look into it.
The only other thing I have is Granny with the shotgun, and then they said, "Granny, put down that shotgun," and I was like, "That's not a good note because they just said it in the stupid
Yeah.
movie." But I'm sorry, I got nothing else.
I don't have much else. I don't have anything really either.
Yeah,
You have anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think. Oh, yeah. So, wait. Get back to me. I lost it.
That's all right. Well,
That's what you're supposed to write.
I found
I
myself
did.
zoning out a lot. Like,
I had fun with this movie.
so, we're sitting on the couch. Tara's laying that way. Well, we have a sectional, so she's on that side. And something would happen on the screen that was just like, and I would see her out of the corner of my eye just look over at me like, and
I don't care. She liked
I just
Ricky
don't know.
Stenicki, so
yeah,
Did you get her score for this movie?
yes.
Nice.
we got to tell score. Okay.
It's a lot better than mine.
I'm just asking. I mean, like,
So,
You wanna-
Yeah.
you wanna
so
do-
at the end, when
Yep.
Alex and Greg they're going back out into space, right? And Maggie comes along. Nobody really seemed upset that they're never going to see them again,
well,
right?
the mom kind of said,
Oh, yeah,
she's
they were
like,
just
I knew
like,
you were going
bye.
to leave, but
Yeah, because
She said, make
who's
sure you
gonna do
write.
all the
There's
work
like
for
no
the mom?
tears.
The grandmother
Louis,
said, make sure you
Louis
write.
is just waving.
Yeah.
Like,
But why can't they
Why
come back
out?
and visit? They could still come back and visit.
I
no?
guess they can,
Maybe.
but
I mean, they came back that day. Robert Preston made 4 trips to Earth in that movie. Or
That's
Yeah.
at least 3. I mean,
I like
he
when
kept
we
coming
saw
back.
Saturn. That was fun.
Yes.
It looks so
was
fake.
that
man.
Saturn?
At one point, you see a ring.
I mean, it was a
planet.
ring planet, but it was blue. I was thinking it was Uranus, but
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they didn't know that back then.
They didn't know it had rings.
I don't,
So.
think, I don't think they knew back then.
That's
Yeah,
something
you're
just
right.
recent.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I zoned out a lot. I don't know. I wasn't a fan. And I think you're right. If I had seen it when I was a kid, I probably would feel differently
definitely.
about it. But
Yeah.
I never saw this.
So when you give a score, do you give it when you remember it back in the 80s?
Well, you're
Give
giving
it
it
or
now.
Whatever you
Because
want to do.
It's
man.
always going to be
Yeah.
a lot lower now when you're watching
I-
these
I-
movies
Oh, yeah.
from the 80s.
We've had some high
They just
scores.
don't hold up, right?
E.T. held up. We were all in the 90s for
Yeah,
E.T.
But E.T. was
Yeah.
classic.
Grease Part 2 totally held up.
That's
Yeah,
a 30.
E.T. was in the 60s.
I think
So
I'm at
I think I
220
said.
now.
So I saw this movie a couple of weeks ago with Amy and Rachel. Watched it, and I kind of
Do you have their
gauged
scores?
Rachel. No, I don't have their scores, but I gauged Rachel because she's
And how's
14.
I was going to say, okay.
She's 14, and I'm like, does this movie still hold up? I mean, it wasn't great, but she said she liked it.
All right.
Right? So she didn't say she loved it.
What did
she
Amy
didn't
say?
hate it.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Did
even
Amy see
asking
this in
Amy.
the theater back in the day? I mean, she's
I
like our
don't know if
age-ish.
she did.
No, okay.
I don't think she did. I think
I
this
didn't
might.
see it
I
in
think
the
this was
theater,
her
but I
first time
rented it a
seeing it.
lot.
Yeah, I saw this twice in the theater.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember
liked it
seeing
so
it in the
much
theater,
back then.
although I assume I saw it in the theater, but I know I saw it on cable. It was
Yeah.
on HBO probably a million times.
Yeah.
There's very few movies I've seen in the theater twice, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Weekend at Bernie's is another one.
What's your
like that
score?
movie.
What's your score? Is it like from 0 to 100?
Yeah.
0 to
And-
100,
And it's
yeah.
based on nothing other than
You're just giving it
the number.
Just, yeah, what you feel. Yep.
Now,
You want to go first?
I want you to
or-
go upstairs and talk to Michelle about this after because she's always
She doesn't know how to do that.
She
Yeah.
hated this movie,
Every
right?
single she'll walk out, so she cannot give a score. She'll watch 95% of the movie. This one she did not watch with me, but she'll watch it, and then get up and walk out and be like, "What's your score?" She's like, "Well, I didn't watch the whole thing." I'm like, "You are just trying to
You
get
still
back
gotta give
to
a score.
Because she's still confused.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't understand 1 out of 100. I'm like, I don't understand how you don't understand.
Then you just ask for 1 out of 10 and times it by
double
10.
it, or double it. Yeah.
Do you want to give the critics scores and audience scores first, or you want to do our
Do you
scores
have the
first?
critics scores?
Oh, yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes, the critics give it a 76%, and the audience gives it 70%.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll go
That's
there
high.
because I gave this score a 70.
70. Okay.
Wow.
I like this movie. I had fun watching it. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it last night.
Yeah.
I was watching it, sitting there going like, I remember almost everything. The only scene I didn't remember is when they went into that like asteroid or whatever, shooting like the fight that they did when it was just the two of them and they shot some of those ships in the asteroid. I think I was saying something.
And then they
before.
just chatted for 20
and they were sitting
minutes.
there talking. I'm like, man, I really don't remember this, but I was thinking maybe there was a special edition that I was watching.
Yeah.
But apparently there was no special edition.
I'll go next. I really had a lot of fun with this movie. I was watching it. I was remembering a lot of the scenes that I had only seen this as a kid. I had never watched it as an adult, so this is the first time watching it as an adult. I give it a 75. I may watch this again in like a group setting, but I really enjoyed this movie.
All right, you guys are influencing my score because I was going to give it like a 40.
No.
But no, I mean, I love
40 is
this
a really
movie.
bad.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
Now, seeing it as an adult, you see the flaws, that you didn't really notice. But I'd still probably give it a 75. Yeah.
From a 40 to a 75, just like that.
Well, I guess
Well, I
with
wasn't sure how
Yeah.
you guys rate these things. I didn't want to.
for me, I
stand
kind of
out.
started like, if I say it's a movie's a 50 or lower, I'm never watching it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think if it's in the 60s, I'll never watch it
I
again.
would definitely watch this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will never watch this
I
again.
know you.
Tara did not like it either. She gave it a 62, which I felt
That's
was
pretty good.
way too high.
Would she give a 70 or 90 to something recently, too?
Yeah,
And
she
we were
did.
all like,
That
what?
I didn't
What?
like it either. Yeah. It's a movie
look
that
through
she
it.
loved. I'd have to look at the pictures of it.
All our notes from the previous episodes.
16 candles?
No.
Because that we wouldn't have complained about.
Yeah,
It was something we
no.
were like, what?
It was something really bad that she
What is
liked
this?
and I didn't.
That's
These are all
all
of Jason's
our
notes from the
movies.
past.
Definitely wasn't Blood Simple. Definitely
No.
wasn't Midnight Man. And it wasn't Real Genius.
That's Toy
We
Story.
didn't do real genius.
All right. Toy
Oh
Story
my
Trading
God! I
Places.
said it again.
Top secret.
secret.
Jesus Christ! If I say Real Genius, you just know what I'm talking about.
I messed that name up twice. I said Toy Story and then I said Trading Places.
So what do you do for your notes? What do? You go on IMDb?
I search, I do Google, IMDb, Wikipedia. Yeah, I'm all over. Yeah.
Nice.
He's all over.
Yeah. And then he prints a nice little package.
I didn't think of it until this week, but I wanted to get a Last Starfighter T-shirt.
Oh my
I was
God.
hoping to have it by
yeah,
today,
that
but
would've been fun.
I couldn't get it until April. And I wanted you
I've had
guys
a
to
couple
sign
times
it
where I wore this shirt
because I figured this podcast is gonna get huge.
Yeah.
Especially after I start sharing it.
Please
Definitely.
do, man.
I'll
Please
have
do.
to work on my signature for all my autographs.
There you go.
I hope I can sign at Chiller Theater. Like,
Oh my
I have
God.
a table set up.
I'll come see.
Yeah.
Give your score and then I'll give a very quick story.
Okay. So I did not like this movie at all. I didn't.
We're still waiting for Dana's score.
I didn't care about it. Like I
we
don't
started
know.
with Dana.
I gave it a 45.
I figured when I was getting your text earlier in the week, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is not going to be good for Dana.
No.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be good either.
So yesterday I'm getting my hair cut and I hear the guy sitting next to me. He comes in, sits down, and the person cutting his hair goes, "Oh, how'd the book signing go?" And I'm like, whoop, I like perked up. I'm like, what? I'm like, is this someone I should know? I'm like, what's going on here? And so they're talking about. He's like, oh yeah, there were like 10 of us down there signing books, South Jersey books. I'm like, wow. I'm like, how did Jason and I especially not know about this? I was like, oh my God. I'm like, what's he talking about? And then I heard him finally say his book was like South Jersey, some nonsense. And I'm like,
okay.
oh, it's like
Like
one
a
of
local
those
book?
kind of things. And then he said that he sold 6. Yes, Lily, we're coming. And then he said he sold like 60 books, and the guy next to him
Wow.
only sold 2, and he was like the big seller for the day. But then I looked it up. I'm like, this guy's written. I was like, oh, like I got all excited, and then I got back to the car. As soon as I got in the car, I Googled him. Based on his book, I found his name, William something, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, is he somebody? He's nobody. So
Not yet.
That's it.
Tara gave 16 candles a 92.
Oh wow, 16 candles.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. For some reason, I thought
that's
it would be
good.
something else.
Yeah,
Like, what
'cause,
were our scores
like,
for that?
Like that's.
Our scores
We
were
all
up
like
there.
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our scores were. Go
write
back
this-
and listen. No.
You write the scores in?
Yeah.
This is for the
Jason
whole
was an
thing.
84.
Okay.
Andy was a 75. Dana was an 83. Tara was a 92. Michelle didn't give a score, and Logan gave an 80.
Okay. But I
what was
still
up
feel
for that
like there was a movie that we hated and she liked. I have to figure out what that
She's a
was.
weirdo.
Yeah.
So,
She liked Ricky Stanicki.
so next week, I think we're going to try to get
Muppets Take
Paul
Manhattan
from
is
Muppets
what we're
Take
doing
Manhattan.
next.
I think
No,
we're
he
try-
said he can't do it till like
Oh.
April or May.
All right, then I'll talk to Dan and see if he can do Revenge of the Nerds.
If we can't do Revenge of the Nerds, then
yeah.
Zach is up for Firstborn.
Definitely. All right,
Okay.
I'll talk to Dan before the weekend to make sure if he can't do it next week, then we'll have time to watch Firstborn
Yep.
Okay.
and absorb all that.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thanks
We
for
had a lot
having
of fun
me today.
having
Thanks
you
for
on.
coming.
Check out
Hopefully
the
you'd
list,
like to
man.
do it
Come
again.
back.
I definitely want to do this
Okay.
again.
Um,
Pick a
next
better
time-
movie.
Next time I'll choose a movie that Dana will.
You're one of the
Thank
more
you.
engaging guests we've had on. We've had some where we're trying to like pull things
yeah,
out.
some-
You don't seem to have a
you're
problem.
not
talking.
shy. Yep.
No, as
good.
long as I remember,
Yeah.
the content.
Well,
you
that's
know,
why
I'm
you're
good about talking
That's why we
about
tell the
it.
people you got to watch the
We
movie
all
before
wa-
you
yeah.
before
I
you come
did.
on. Yeah.
I've watched like
Next time
100
I'll take some notes.
I've watched like 100 movies because of this podcast.
Right.
Now.
Yeah.
Most I probably would have never watched one time or again, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
why
there's
it's fun.
definitely a lot of movies I've watched I would not have thought to.
Yeah, like I watched a James Bond
You
movie,
watched
which
but it
two
got-
never.
James Bond movies or not?
Just
like,
one.
Just the
Getting
one.
to see like Last American Virgin again
Yeah.
and like saying like, wow, this movie's so good.
Or
Like,
Zapped or
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the
even
one I
this.
watched? I didn't like. Private School? Did I watch that one?
Did we do Private School? we
Private
did do
School.
Private School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, I
It's
forgot we
awful.
did that.
That was with
Phoebe Cates?
Phoebe Cates, right?
Yeah, yeah,
but with
And Matthew Modine.
Mike Chamberlain did that with us.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he was on for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he had that.
He's been
he
on
knew
a couple
that by
times.
heart. Yeah, he knew Private School by heart.
He was supposed to come on for Indiana Jones.
No,
Or
no,
he did come on for
Temple of
Indiana
Doom,
Jones.
right?
Temple
What-
of Doom.
what'd
But
we do?
Top Secret, he was supposed to come
Top
on for.
Secret, right.
He,
Oh,
didn't, he
yeah.
didn't make it for Top
It
Secret.
was actually real genius.
Well, you know what? This has been the exciting and new podcast. Go find us over there on Spreaker. Download, rate, subscribe, review, do all those fun things. We're the exciting and new podcast on all our socials. Jazoo74 on Instagram. The Jazoo on Instagram. Jazoo74 on Twitter. This has been the exciting and new
write it
podcast. I'm Jason. I don't write it down.
Egonzo1 on Instagram, Egonzo1970 on Twitter. I'm Andy.
Dana Caps on TikTok and Twitter. Dana Cap 77 on Instagram. I'm Dana.
Did you just add something?
No.
She added TikTok, I
She
think.
add something.
Nah,
No,
she said
it's the
that.
same.
Yeah.
Jim Horowitz 47 on Instagram, and I'm Jim.
Nice.